Hello, guys. This is Alex Julian, or Aloysius Zanderman here. Full name being Alexander Andrew Julian, and welcome to my talk show. Tonight we will be talking about games with instructions and games without instructions. And I will talk about how prejudice can divide between those two sides, where one side guides for teaching and the other side guides for practice. And I'm not sure what is more annoying, teaching or practice. There's prejudice on both sides, I'll tell you that. Because after all, on the other hand, what are the means to a lesson that I must understand? And also at the same time, what are the means to practice that I must try out? Because definitely there's risk taking on both sides and also assumptions taken on both sides, where it's like as if the prejudice of the population, the prejudice of humanity cannot handle those sides when it comes to pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters versus dollar bills. Wait, actually, that's just counting money. Let's not worry so much about money for the most part. I give a toast to you when it comes to what I drink here, which is Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi. And just so you know, um, Diet Cola can act as a similar stimulant for your wake of day, kind of like coffee, except you need more of it to get some of the same wakening effects that come from daily consumption of light and darkness. And definitely it can get difficult for the shadows to escape forthright on the marks of brilliance and reflection. And of course, it's time to shop for clothes. In case you're wanting to know, the winter's going to come sooner or later, so you gotta shop for clothes and prepare for those cold temperatures coming this way. And definitely, there's already sweatshirts and hoodies out and about. And there's marvelous bracelets and necklaces that the ladies can get to up the ante when it comes to their competition for beauty and drama. I like drama. I just like it when there's more control to it, or when there's something really important or dynamic or confident about drama. After all, what am I reviewing tonight? Well, I'm reviewing games with instructions and games without instructions. And more of those are coming about, and um, I do not like both sides so much. Um, I do not like games that lack instruction manuals because those games promote brute behavior, as in, me go hit something and not hear information from lecture. You know, there's that brute fact that comes with games without instructions, and at the same time, teaching can actually make the brute fact worse when it comes to teaching with ideas that do not actually amount to any kind of sweet understanding or sweet believing of concepts as they go back and forth in the circle of information around us. And, when it comes to video games in THP, um, I'm not seeing much of a thrill when it comes to uh, the shopping for video games at this time of day. And definitely a lot of the friendly neighbors from the past are not so friendly now, and they treat the whole video game industry as a concept that they cannot connect to. When it comes to here in Tehachapi, when it comes to the local village town here in Tehachapi, we are more into the motion of understanding rather than vocal or actual forms of understanding. So it's more about the grace of our strength as a community rather than something immediate or something tactful. Because definitely some communities in California and elsewhere, they get too high on their marks, and they may not know where to put their paws after they're done using them. And it's hard enough to count the chickens before they hatch. And I'm here with sunglasses on because the light bulbs in this house have such brightness that it exceeds the brightness of light bulbs that I experienced in my childhood. Because in my childhood, we used old fashioned light bulbs that had less light and more brilliance. And these companies that make new light bulbs must understand this in case they are retarded and out of reach of their intellect. Having more watts of electricity in a light bulb does not exactly equal brilliance of artistic background. Doing lights, as in having lights on in the house, is a very tricky art. It requires a lot of fashion design and reference to home goods and sporting goods, and it does have to do with the experimentation here and there, and it goes beyond rocket science. It goes beyond evolution, and it goes into the whereabouts of current status of living, which is what the New Testament of the Bible promotes with religion in Christianity, such as how do we actually live in the moment of time, as in the moment of the moment of the moment. And it's not about a dead feature, it's about the living Word of God. And I praise to that with my prayer for the evening. I hear fuming in this copper mug. Do you hear it? Yeah, you could probably hear the fuming of the mug with the bubbles, with the Diet Coke and everything. Um, but yeah, when it comes to instructions for games, we have to take them piecemeal and see if there's slippers to put on before they hatch. I mean, after all, it's like there are ribbons and knots and dreams and humors. We have a lot of cycles when it comes to the human mind that expands and expands or contracts depending on what actually happens. And definitely, oh, you got to be careful of that kind of human being who has a mind that is closed. As in, the person is so made up on their decisions and choices that they do not have a mind for anything anymore. And oh, a lot of conservatives in America have ears that are made of diamonds and glue. And they hear nothing in their eardrums because their eardrums are made of impossible material, especially with their excessive reference to sounds and noise and volume and commotion and talk. And they have their decisions and choices so made up that they are unwilling to escape to some other kind of experimentation to see if there's something of hope and glimmer when it comes to future possibilities. After all, like new ideas could lead someone to a new path, and well, there are those political guys, depending on their position in the political world, who have their mind already made up, and well, they know their game already without actually stopping to think about what their game means. What does it mean to have a game? What does it mean? Do video games exist anymore? With a lot of where video games are going today, I would say in some areas, video games have gone extinct. Video games have gone in the dust. They no longer exist in these areas. Not all areas of life. There are still video games in some areas of life. And I do own a Switch too with Mario Kart World. But still, it's like, I have to ask, do video games still exist in all areas? Well, in some areas, no. In some areas, video games have gone extinct because there's too much prejudice, too much ignorance, too much assumption, too much absolution, too much confidence, too much gaiety, too much, too much, too much, too much, too much, too much. If I have to go through a lot of words, that indicates there are too many pictures to count the words for, and I have more words than I could excuse the pictures for. And definitely there's that motion picture phenomenon when it comes to picture versus picture and word versus word. And definitely, let me ask video game companies this. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, what makes you think that someone can play a video game with thousands of pictures and no words in any instruction, as in no instructions, no teaching words that could help someone do well in a video game? Let me toast to that stupidity, because they've lost it right there. And they are not analytical, and they are more in the retarded zone. Yeah, I guess I'm sort of acting like a bad guy right now, but well, I'm gonna have to turn it around, because definitely with my art, not enough people are looking at my art and taking me seriously. Um, they are viewing, but they are not doing me any favors. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm being sarcastic. Of course, my audience matters. But then again, how much? Um, Now, definitely, someone has prejudice in this video game world if the person is unwilling to accept any descriptions about racism. You see, conservatives fear education about racism. in some cases, because if people find out that um, some forms of religion have been false pursuits of racism, they would lose contact with their reach to the communities to develop cults, especially if they are patriotic cults that could disguise themselves as important taxpayers with minimalization of their obvious bravado. And hey, I mean, when it comes to this communication here, when it comes to this addiction, well, the fruit hangs from the tree, and I'm not sure if everybody knows how the tree grows in this Dollar Tree system that we're in. When it comes to putting colors on the mark and having enough pride to assort the rainbow into the matrix of our time and space continuum. And hey, okay, when it comes to you guys who are opposed to pride, well, okay, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna paint your church in all white and pretend that colors do not exist? You know, you have been doing that with your churches, and it's disgusting. You are pretending that other colors do not exist, and you do it by having these establishments where the only colors in use are white, black, and blue, with maybe a little bit of purple and green somewhere. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to dumb down children and have them grow up to be mindless monsters who worship Jordan Peterson or some other irrelevant intellectual in the pursuit of God, land, and humanity. It's sad. But then again, well, how about games with instructions? Well, instructions can also backfire on games because instructions can inform the viewers of video games that they are being played with and they are being taken advantage of when it comes to their intellectual retardedness of motion. So, like, ironically enough, with some video games, if you include instructions for these video games, and if you have people read these instruction manuals for these video games, the readers soon realize that the video games are just stupid or retarded or redundant, just irrelevant, as in out of order, stupid nonsense, and they may take the games back. And is it possible in this day and age to actually rent video games in the current market? Well, renting is still sort of possible because of monthly subscriptions that amount to limited amounts of time for limited amounts of money. And definitely limited amounts of money equate to limited amounts of time. And there's some renting natural when it comes to the infrastructure of modern gaming with technological Bluetooth units with the machines that go after themselves. But then again, instructions hurt us sometimes when they are present, and instructions hurt us sometimes when they are absent. So, in some ways, conservatives and liberals are right when they say that education is important. In some ways, they are right, but in some ways, they're also mistaken. They're also wrong because, well, have you guys ever thought that maybe schools exist to cheat on your experience and to get you to read too much, and in particular with schools that are overlearning? Have you guys ever thought that with this overlearning, if I may interrupt myself here and use bad grammar here for a moment with good reason, good cause, um, have you guys ever thought that maybe, just maybe, um, you are being tricked into reading too many books just to find out in the end, before you die, that you were wasting your life with impossible experiences that you've never had, and that you're just being textual, wordy, and thoughtful? I mean, how does that do for you? So, when it comes to video games, well, instruction can benefit, but instruction can hurt. And silence can benefit, and silence can hurt. And that's what to think about. And so we have to ask ourselves with video games how much volume we are getting, how much language we are getting, how much text we are getting, how much data we are getting with these instructions, or with the silences that implicate concern rather than learning. Because definitely learning can be done by people who are too incompetent to actually take the risk of having concern for something, and they would rather sit in a classroom and drool on themselves. Yeah. Anyways, that's my video talk show for tonight. And this will probably be my last video. If I make another video tonight, I'll let you know ahead of time. But until then, that's my stance on video game instruction. It can benefit, but it can also disadvantage. It depends. Take care. Have a good one.